got to be colour coded and all that. Bear with. I know Alison and I were having this conversation, and then Gary, you put up the question about the VAT reconciliation report. So hopefully my description's going to make sense, and if it doesn't, then somebody will have to let me know. The first thing that catches everybody out with the VAT reconciliation report is that you need to get the from date correct. If you don't, then it won't work. It took me a bloody long time to figure out that that needs to be correct. So either needs to be the beginning of the financial year, or if, like with this demo company, there's nothing in the first 2 quarters, it needs to be the beginning of a quarter. Otherwise, it doesn't pick up the filed returns properly. So first off, must make sure that you've got the right VAT quarter. And as long as you've got the right VAT quarters, you will get this filed figure figured out properly. In theory, the VAT collected should match the VAT filed. Obviously, that doesn't work if it's cash accounting. It only works on the accruals accounting. But then the reconciliation bit down here later on will help with that. But if you're working on a company that is, accruals accounting, the VAT filed should agree to the VAT collected and paid. If it doesn't, and I've got with one of my clients, we backdated something to a previous quarter that didn't get picked up on the VAT return, you'll get a balance in this unfiled box here, but then that should be picked up on the following VAT quarter, and so then the unfiled should go back to 0. Unfortunately, for the purposes of this demo, the demo company is all nice and neat and tidy and doesn't show any of those quirks. But you can have unfiled in either of the collected or the paid boxes. But if you're on accruals accounting, it should then get picked up in the next quarter. And this should be nice and neat and tidy and back to zeros. Bear with me, I've still got the tail end of a cold. Hopefully, if you are filing the VAT for a accruals accounting company, you will have this nice little line of zeros, and the only time you will ever have unfiled is if you're partway through a quarter or you haven't filed the VAT quarter yet. This makes this look nice and neat and tidy. I've got some that aren't this tidy, so the reconciliation doesn't look quite as good as this, but hopefully the principles from today will help you to carry that forward. This VAT owing box at the bottom is kind of the reconciliation for everything that's happened up above. So the VAT collected figure should always agree to this total up here underneath the VAT collected filed column. Same again with the VAT paid. That figure there should always agree to this figure up under here. On the demo company, they've not made any payments, but if you've actually paid your VAT, that figure in there should then be the total of these two, and this should in theory come back to 0. If you haven't yet paid the outstanding quarter or the final quarter, then that balance there should be that quarter's VAT return. And then this closing balance here of the above carries forward to this VAT owing balance here. So any payments not made to HMRC is basically this figure, and then that unfiled VAT figure there is the net of any unfiled VAT collected and any unfiled VAT paid. So that carries forward down there, which gives you a VAT balance of, in this instance, £1,400. If you then go to your balance sheet, you should have a VAT balance of £1,425.30, which is what pulls forward here, and the two should agree. I'm hoping. It does nice and neatly on the demo company. I have one of my clients, or two of my clients, who are accruals accounting, which this all works nice and neat and tidily. It's when you get to the cash accounting, it doesn't work quite so nice and neat and tidily, because you get the unfiled VAT in here. What I then tend to do is do a VAT reconciliation to just double check that all of these bits at the bottom here actually do tally up correctly to the VAT account balance. If you've got unfiled VAT, oh yeah, oh Gary, if you have got a messy one, go for it. If you've got unfiled VAT in here, I tend to do a reconciliation then to make sure that, because the unfiled VAT is a different figure every month or every quarter, I do a reconciliation to make sure that, because it's on cash accounting, it actually does get picked up, because I've had instances before where old stuff doesn't actually get picked up. Gary, do you want to share your screen if you've got a messy one without disclosing the client, possibly?
Yeah, no, well, I'm trying to get out of, not out of Zoom, but there we go, that's better.
I think I have to stop sharing as well first.
Just bear with me a second.
That's all right. Sorry if anybody can hear my dog in the background. He's getting stroppy because his ball's under the table.
Yeah, basically, the client that I've got, I come in, I might need to have a private chat with you about it, to be honest, Samantha, but basically the accountant before wasn't doing things kind of brilliantly, and everything is everywhere, and I'm basically trying to reconstruct the accounts from a CRM system that says it does accounting, but it doesn't. And an accountant that doesn't ask the client questions to be able to submit VAT properly and so on and so forth. Plus, they've made mistakes in filing and so on and so forth. So it's a right mess. So this is to show you.
Yeah.
So just bear with me a second. I'll just open them up, get the VAT.
That's right.
So I'm going to show you the VAT reconciliation report from what they've got. Still trying to get used to buddy Xero's new menu.
Yeah, menu.
Yeah. Right, so let's take that back to April 2017. Update.
I was just going to see if I could show you guys one as well.
Right, there we go. Let's share screen. Right, if you could talk us through what this is, effectively.
I can't see your screen.
Oh, no, there you go. Should be able to. There you go. Okay.
Okay. So
this is a very messy one, as you can see.
Yes. The balance, the opening balance you've got at the top, the £290.48 and the £357.87, is that where a trial balance has been input at the beginning of a financial year, or does Xero go back before April 17?
No, it doesn't, because I'm actually, yes, it does. But that open it, Don't
worry about changing it.
I'm not 100% sure, so.
That's fine. What I would tend to do, or what I've done with other clients, is I always wind the opening balance right back to the beginning, so that you've kind of got nothing in the opening balance brought forward. Okay. A, because I like it to look neat and tidy, and B, because I find it easier to then be able to see in which quarters there's differences, errors, whatever you want to call them. So opening balance kind of aside, most of your quarters look absolutely fine until you get down to the March 18 one. In theory, you should be able to identify those those transactions that make up the VAT collected and the VAT paid. And then in the following quarter's audit trail, you should then be able to see those two, or however many transactions it is, being included, and then be able to identify why it then goes into a minus. Right,
okay. Because basically what happened with the client is, like I say, I had a very dodgy trial balance to imported that, and then rather than importing the figures from the CRM system, I said, give me the bank statements, I'll work off the bank statements because I know that they're right. So I basically posted all the bank statements in, and did the VAT on appropriate transactions and so on and so forth. They're an FBA seller, so the VAT is all over the place anyway, with regards to Amazon, so on and so forth. But yeah, this is basically VAT that, so yeah, I filed the VAT but didn't submit through HMRC on this side, and this is obviously affected. So, but then I've obviously got his VAT returns that he's actually sent to HMRC. They're different again. So it's like, oh, how do I even begin to try and sort this out? So,
okay, so what's filed in those boxes doesn't actually agree to the VAT return?
Yes, correct.
Oh, you have got quite a pickle there, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to talk to someone, and then obviously everyone else wants to sort of read the room.
Jumped in.
Ahead of, yeah, so yeah.
It works for me. It's not a problem.
Yeah, because as you can see, this is the amount that they've obviously paid. These are the bank transactions.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see that that's different to that, which is also different to that. So it's like, what the hell? So
but then you've got payments there on the 2nd of August, which is mid-quarter. So, oh, okay. Right.
I think that might have been like the previous quarter or something, and the VAT is all over the place. And I mean, I can share with you at a later date. I don't mind paying for your work or anything like that, but it's just try and get this sorted out, basically. You know, if anyone else has any clients that's very similar to this as well.
Because so just for a minute, then putting aside the fact that the VAT returns don't agree with what you've got there. I would, if I was looking at this, as in it's done in Xero, it's all correct as to what's gone to HMRC. These minuses in June and September on the collected and the paid.
This bit here, yeah?
Yeah, and that's it, those there. That would normally imply that you've filed a return with something on it. And then the transaction or transactions have been voided. And that's why it's now a minus.
Okay.
Which is why with all of our clients, we've implemented it recently. With all of our clients, we close off the month end, so nobody can then go and delete something that's been included. And we don't void anything anymore. We put a credit note on.
Gotcha.
Because then that then it ensures that your VAT returns are correct and you're not, removing stuff that's been included, and B, it then actually makes this reconciliation work. Having fun there.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah. Right, okay.
So if you just scroll down a bit so I can see the bottom of the reconciliation. See, the other thing that worries me, or kind of consolidates that there's potentially voided transactions, is your balance at the 31st of December doesn't agree to your balance sheet. You're out by about whatever it's 1,500 quid. If you go down the 3975.
Oh yeah, that one there.
That's it. Doesn't agree to the 5571 underneath.
Right. Okay.
So the 5571 is your balance sheet account balance, and then the 3975 is this reconciliation balance.
Oh, okay. So this bottom figure here is off the balance sheet.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's pulled through from your balance sheet. That 3975 is working from this reconciliation that we've got up in front of us.
Okay.
So something is adrift. There looks like there's a couple of different things adrift on this one. Having said that, if your balance sheet balance is 5,500 and this reconciliation is 3,900, but you're saying that what's gone through HMRC doesn't agree to this reconciliation, that's possibly then contributing because you've paid differently to what these returns are saying you should have paid.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, there looks like there's possibly not just one thing wrong with that. There's two or three.
Okay.
On the face of it.
Right. Okay. So with this actually reconciliation report, it's just that report. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It
change
doesn't
here
do anything.
Doesn't do journal entries or anything like that.
No, not at all. This is just pulling through what's on the purchases and sales in the VAT collected and the VAT paid columns, what's gone on the actual VAT returns, which is what's in the filed column, and then when you, sorry,
All right.
I thought I put that on silent, like you do, and then when you make payments to HMRC, as long I can't remember exactly how it works. It's a while since I've done one. I think if you run the VAT return, it then generates the liability, and then as long as you match the payment off against the liability, it then records it in that VAT account transactions box where your total is 15,000. So as long as you've matched that off properly, then it pulls it all through. Yeah, it then pulls it all through.
Right. Okay.
But I know we've done it on one of our clients, and I had to go back and backtrack it all. If you're just posting, because I think it creates a liability and then you match the payment to the liability.
Okay.
But I think as long as you post it through to the VAT account, it will pick up in there that it's a VAT payment. So I think there's kind of maybe 2 or 3 things you need to check. Is 1, to make sure you've got all of the VAT payments in that list. 2 is going back to the VAT returns and working out the differences between the actual VAT return and what's up at the top of your reconciliation. And then 3, why there are minuses in there. Have there been transactions that have been voided, or are they minuses because what's been filed is actually what's showing there? Sorry, what's been filed is different to what is showing there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because God bless MTD when it comes across. I know it's going to cause a lot of headache for a lot of us. But the minute this guy is basically pulling the VAT report off the CRM system, then manually entering it into HMRC's website, which is where some of the errors are coming from as well, because he's either transposing stuff or putting 3,000 instead of 2,000 to pay VAT and things like that, and it's throwing it all off because he's a busy man, doesn't check it, double check it, that sort of thing.
There's no point in having Xero though if you're not going to use it.
Well, it is now, because I'm now obviously instigating this in with him. The CRM system that he had beforehand helps online resellers, so be it an Etsy shop or an eBay shop or whatever. It facilitates the stock control and so on and so forth, but the accounting package attached to it is absolute garbage basically. So I have to tone down my language when I'm speaking to lots of people.
It's fine. It's fine.
So it's army stuff, that's all. So yeah, basically it's going to be a lot more work than just looking at what's on here then, basically.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to sort of ask, was to basically I understand the VAT collected is obviously what's coming in from the sales. So do I click on that and it should...
No, it doesn't take you through to it. It's only lets you put notes on it.
Okay. So what's the adjustments box for then?
So you can... So if, for example, like you were saying, this doesn't agree to what's on the actual VAT return, you can put an adjustment in that column and save it just for the reporting purposes. So if you knew, for example, that rather than, 1,950.59 was filed in that first quarter, it was actually only 1,750.59. Excuse me, you could put an adjustment of £200 in that adjustments box. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, you can save or publish or whatever you want to call it, export the report, and then you can keep a track of those adjustments that were manually made to the VAT returns.
Right, okay.
For whatever reason. So I don't know, it might be that they're on accruals accounting, and that on the 1st of July 17, you had a credit note in with 200, or you sent a credit note out with £200 worth of VAT on. So you didn't want to have to pay over that VAT when you know that it was coming back. And I know some people who will adjust that as a manual adjustment.
Yeah.
So it could be that you've done that.
Right, okay. So anything that's posted in here is just literally on this report, and then you need to go and do a manual journal to obviously change that over.
Yeah.
Or to actually adjust the VAT account.
Yeah. I don't tend to use the adjustments. I tend to actually put VAT journals through instead. If I'm going to do any sort of manual adjustment, I don't tend to do any manual adjustments. It is what it is.
Okay, yeah.
But I would put a VAT journal through rather than use that adjustments column. I don't like it. It just muddies the waters.
I think that's probably why I'm getting confused, because you put the adjustments in there, you expect to, file and publish, to then create the VAT or to the VAT journals in the correct to then adjust the VAT. But you say it doesn't. It's just for this report alone. That's it.
Correct. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't use that column. I just think it completely muddies the waters. So for all intents and purposes, I just ignore it and don't use it at all.
Gotcha. Okay then. All right then. So there's nothing else to sort of talk about on said report?
No.
Okay.
No.
Fair enough.
It's quite a straightforward report if the system is correct, if you see what I mean. If the system is being used properly and you're not voiding anything, all the payments are going to the right places, and you're on accruals accounting. If you're on cash accounting, so for example, you've got that £1.68 there.
Yeah. Me
personally, I would have a balance sheet reconciliation, and I would know what that £1.68 is, and I would go and double check next quarter that got if it's paid, that got included, and I would know what the unfiled balances are made up of.
Right. Okay.
No,
that's fine.
Thankfully, we have most people on here. We have most people on accruals accounting, so it's not quite so bad.
Yeah, same here. I think I've only got 2 clients on cash accounting, so yeah, cool. Okay then.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I will open it up to the floor. If anyone wants to sort of ask any questions to Sam, then ask away.
Go for it. If anybody's got any. Silence, that's what I like.
All your mics are live now, so if you want to say something, just speak up.
I don't think there are any questions. That's what we
No?
like.
That's good.
Hi, Sam and Gary. Thank you. That's really helpful.
Okay, that's all right, Angela.
More than happy to help. Perfect.
I've often wondered what the adjustments box was.
Useless, pretty much. I've not found a proper use for it anyway. Only it's just a manual, I don't know, notes box more than anything.
I mean, like I said, if it had the ability to post the journals for you, then you'd use it more often. But I suppose if it doesn't do anything, it's just completely pointless.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, not quite sure why it's there.
So if there's anybody else wants to say something about it, about the report itself, or VAT in general, or anything like that?
No,
just a simple yes, no from anyone?
Love it.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay then. All right then.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much for doing that for us.
No problems at all. If anybody's got any more questions, stick them in the group.
Just stick them in the group afterwards. I'll try and get this uploaded as quickly as possible for those who couldn't make it. But I think I'll probably have to have a more in-depth chat with yourself.
Try it on so I can see.
So if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
Okay then, Sam.
Cool. No problem.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for attending, and we'll maybe do something like this on a regular basis. Okay.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Cheers. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.